My name is Marion Sikuade. I am the executive director of Child Lifeline. But our immediate program is the rehabilitation of street children. We had done a survey on out-of-school children, and during that survey, several of us who were involved had come across a lot of children who were not only out of school, but were also out of home. They were not living in either their own home or any guardian's home. They were out on the street. I mean, not just to do petty trading or something, but actually living and subsisting and sleeping on the streets. Sleeping under the bridges, in markets, in broken down minibuses, all sorts of things. They tend to go towards places where they can get some sort of work. Near markets, big markets, or big bus depots. These are places that the children can earn some money with which to survive. They work as head loaders on the markets, of course. They work as bus conductors, mostly the older ones, though there are some surprisingly young ones there as well. Some of them, lately they have done this window screen washing of the cars, but they were washing cars before. Sometimes they go and wash up in a buka and get paid for that. So whatever it was, they were trying to earn their money. My name is Marion Sikuade. I am getting ancient, getting old, but I am the executive director of Child Lifeline. That's a rather wide definition, but our immediate program is the rehabilitation of street children.
Yes, can you tell us more about it? I mean, the history of the organization, your accomplishments, objectives, and your plans for the future.
Child Lifeline was founded in 1994. So we've been going now for, not quite 14 years, 13 years and a bit. At the time I was a civil servant and I was working for the National Commission for Mass Literacy, and we had done a survey on out-of-school children, and during that survey several of us who were involved had come across a lot of children who were not only out of school but were also out of home. They were not living in either their own home or any guardian's home. They were out on the street. I mean, not just to do petty trading or something, but actually living and subsisting and sleeping on the streets. Sleeping under the bridges, in markets, in broken down minibuses, all sorts of things. So we decided that the situation was really a very serious one, and these children were badly in need of help. We didn't quite know what to do to begin with, because we hadn't had any experience in that life. But we nevertheless decided to set up an organization which would look into the problem specifically of street children. So the first year, we got the support of UNESCO, which funded a survey, this time only of street children in Lagos. The survey lasted for a week, and we went to all those places in Lagos where the street children clustered, because they tend to go towards places where they can get some sort of work. Places like Agege and Surulere, well, you know the sort of places, near markets, big markets, or big bus depots. These are places that the children can earn some money with which to survive. Because we found that almost all the children that we met, the ones who came from the southern states, mostly from the western states, most of them were Yorubas, but there were some from what then we call the Midwest, an odd one or two from the East. But they were all workers. They were not beggars. They were not going around with holding out their hands for money. But most of our children from the West, especially, who end up on the street, they don't expect anybody to just dash them money. They look for work. They work as head loaders on the markets, of course. They work as bus conductors, mostly the older ones, though there are some surprisingly young ones there as well. Some of them, well, lately they have done this window screen washing of the cars, but they were washing cars before. Sometimes they go and wash up in a buka and get paid for that. So whatever it was, they were trying to earn their money. You understand?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, during the survey which we did, we came across a boy. He was living with about 17 other boys in a very small hut by the side of the railway in Agege. And that boy had a most dreadful wound in his leg. And the wound had suppurated and was, quite honestly, it was stinking to high heaven. It filled the shed in which they were sleeping. So I told the field workers, I said, for goodness sake, bring him in. We have to do something for him. And if we hadn't brought him in and taken him to a hospital, that boy would have lost his leg. There's no doubt about that. He would have ended up in losing his leg and possibly even his life. So that was our very first street boy that Child Lifeline ever looked after. Now at that time I was still working for the National Commission for Mass Literacy, and we had an office in Dolphin, and we put down a raffia mat for our boy to sleep on. We bought him a little kerosene cooker and pots, and everybody would, all those working there would bring him food, and he would cook his food and so on. And later, during and after the main survey, our people still went out and got talking to the street boys. And at that time, what is now, it's been beautified now, the Falamo roundabout. There were many boys living on the roundabout, underneath the overhead bridge, and they called that the house. That was the house, the middle of the Falamo roundabout. And 2 or 3 of them had problems, health problems. They have problems with skin infections. Another boy also had a very bad leg wound, I don't know, 18 months, 2 years, and nothing had been done about it. So again, they found their way, they followed our people and found their way back to our office. And by that was, we had done we'd done the survey in January, February. And by July or August, we had 6 or 7 of them, all living on the veranda in front of our office and being fed by us. And we were looking desperately for somewhere for them to stay. We decided that we had to have a building or some kind of shelter for these kids. And we went to see the military governor of Lagos State, I think it was then. What's his name? Oyinlola. And he promised us, well, that we couldn't give us any money, but he would find us somewhere to put the children. And he gave us, in the end, they gave us permission to use half of the remand home at Oregon, the Oregon remand home. With friends and donors, we managed to renovate the place up, make it livable, and we began our first residential rehabilitation center for street children with just 6 children. And that was in November 1995. Today we have our own compound, our own buildings, and we're at Ibeshi, Ikorodu, and there we have accommodation for 24.